Hello people, welcome to another video of Spanish Space with Jules. For today we're going to discuss about the first lesson of a Spanish speaker. I have here in this video 3 different steps when you're going to plan your first class of Spanish. When we are going to start teaching another language, we have to take into account the level of the student. So the first thing you have to do is to check the level of the student. That's the first thing you have to check. When you know the level of your student, it's going to be much easier when you're going to plan your classes. First, what you have to do is to do a diagnostic evaluation to assess the level of the student, to assess the current level of the student. For example, is the student able to pronounce Spanish? Is the student able to pronounce, for example, the eres and erres in Spanish? Is the student able to create questions? Does the student understand the questions or the Spanish when you speak it, even when you speak it slow? So those things you have to take into account when you are in the first step, identifying the student. 2. Key expressions. The interaction with your students is going to be very important in your classes. Even if it is the very first class, you have to establish some expressions with your student. For example, if the student wants to go to the restroom, I think that's a little bit childish, but well, it works. You can tell him, ¿Puedo ir al baño? Well, of course. The other one, if the student wants to say something in another language or in Spanish, he can start asking, ¿Cómo se dice dog en español? So you can use the mother language of the student in different sentences. When the student sees a different word that it is difficult to understand, he can ask, ¿Qué significa estereotipo? So that's another expression that you can teach your student. If the student doesn't understand you when you're trying to explain, it is very important for you as a teacher to double check the information with the student. And if the student doesn't understand, he can say, no entiendo. Another one is, for example, you are speaking too fast or too slow or too low. The student can tell you, puede hablar más despacio, o puede hablar más duro, or something like that. Those key expressions, well, you can add some others if you want, but I think that's a very important point in your presentation and in your classes as a teacher for foreign language. And the third one are the greetings. It is important in your class that your student learn how to greet you in the evening, in the morning, in the afternoon, or even if it is formal or informal. I think in this part, you have also to take into account the cultural aspect. If you're teaching a language, it is important that you as a teacher mention something about the culture. In this case, the very first class, you can teach the greetings, and that's something cultural in the different countries where people speak Spanish. So it is not the same way I greet here people in Colombia and the way people in Spain greet other people. So you have to take into account a little bit of culture in every class you teach, even with vocabulary, with grammar, and things like those. 3 points that you have to take into account when you start teaching classes for foreign people or in your very first class. So well, that's it. I hope you liked this video. If you have any comments, don't hesitate. And well, see you in another occasion with Spanish Space with Jules.